in another edition of That's My Sports. I am the host with the most, Aaron Cass. Hollywood Race taking a back seat. He is too frustrated right now with Chaim Bloom and the Red Sox organization. So we're coming at you with an MLB Trade Deadline special. So Hollywood Ray, how you doing, man? How you feeling? You just got a third baseman that's batting 145.
Yo, listen, I once again two years ago, this might have been a move that would have helped in the infield. It's wild. See what before we get into that, I'm doing okay personally, but as a fan, like you said, I'm pissed off. Like I said, 145, one homer, 5 runs batted in. So he has one homer, with more homer than you and I combined, which is wild. But like I said, 2 years ago, this might have been a move that you said, okay, this is pretty savvy. The OPS was good. You know, maybe some plus defense in the middle infield. But yeah, to me, when you trade away Kike, who was hitting 230, you know what I'm saying? Like you trade that away, and then you get a guy that's hitting 90 points below that almost. Like I don't understand. Once again, maybe you're taking a gamble to see maybe he recaptures what he had a few years ago. But to me, I would have felt better if that was the move and you got a pitcher to go with that. And once again, not the guy they got for San Francisco, even though he had a good performance over the weekend. I just think to me, they once again underwhelmed at this trade deadline. But once again, Red Sox fans shouldn't be surprised because it's always the same shit with them.
I mean, 2 years ago, I did say that this was a good move for the Red Sox because, Dave Dombrowski trades away the farm system for older guys. I mean, yeah, he brings you to the playoffs, deep playoff runs, but you're not a fan of the prospects. So
not all of them. Once again, it's one thing. So Nick York is good. Seti Rafaela is good. Oh god, I'm like testing my knowledge right now. Some of them. Marcelo Mayer obviously is good. So and then they just got Kyle Till in the draft. So okay, like they have plenty of shortstops down there, like that's for sure. So if there's any place they could have traded, it would have been for shortstop because they have plenty of those. They got Blaze Jordan down there too, who was the first pick a couple years ago. So to me, we've seen what Dombrowski's done. So when he was in Florida, right? They won in '97. He was the orchestrator for that. He goes to Detroit. Once again, Detroit had been dormant. Once again, when we were kids, Detroit wasn't, a team that was solid. Not in baseball anyways. Once again, in the 80s they were, but by the time we were growing up, they wasn't solid. That team lost 120 games. Then he trades for Miguel Cabrera because he had him over there, I think, in Miami or in Florida. Miami. But then you bring over guys, obviously Verlanders and
the D Train.
D-Train, right? Exactly. Yeah, Don Trevor Willis, exactly. Yep. They had a great run in Detroit where they go to a World Series and go to 3 straight ALCS. So yeah, then he comes here, replaces Ben Cherington's lame duck ass because basically he was just a lame duck after Theo leaves, and yeah, you bring in Rick Porcello, you bring in David Price, you bring in Chris Sale, and you essentially put together the best Red Sox team maybe of all time. Winning 108 games in 2018. So yeah, this is not Kansas City, this is not Tampa Bay. This is not Oklahoma. I mean, obviously, OKC obviously doesn't have a baseball team, but we're not. This is not a small market area. You don't have to operate like that. Go get the people that you can get, and then mix in that talent. When they've won every year, they won it. Or except for 2018, 2007, Pedroia was a young guy coming up. Euclid was there for a few years. Papelbon had been there for a few years. Then you got Ortiz, Manny, Varitek. JD Drew, like that's the mix we need. We don't need fucking 8 rookies in the fucking starting lineup. And then now they're just starting to figure it out. Thank God that Castles is starting to look like another version of Adrian Gonzalez. Thank you. Well, at least in San Diego when he got here. But but the San Diego version of Adrian Gonzalez. So like that's what we're looking for. But it's just like it's taking too long. And once again, this is not a franchise. Once again, especially in this era. So this is not the '90s. This is not the '80s. We have seen this era of Red Sox fans have seen 4 championships. We at least want to compete once again. And you know my gripe, Aaron. What do I always say? You're not going to win every year because that's unrealistic. I just want you to compete. That's it. Just be in contention or close to contention, and I'm good. This middle of the pack mediocre, play or just not stepping up when you need to as far as making trades is a joke to me. So Heim's a joke. Sam Kenny's a joke. John Henry's a joke. I've been out on that front office, but this to me just this like one of the final nails in the coffin for me.
So are you saying right now that you're like done with the Sox for a while?
No,
Or
the front office. No. Listen,
just the
I'm
front
still,
office? Okay,
listen, yeah,
I'm
come
just
on.
making sure.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch. I mean, come on. I'm like most fans here. We'll talk shit all day, but we'll watch the product. Like the Patriots, whatever, they can go 1-15. Would they bitch and moan all day? Absolutely. Gillette Stadium will be filled every Sunday. Why? Because that's just how it is up here. Whether you're good or bad, yeah, we're gonna talk, but we're gonna support the team because we've seen a lot of losing as well. So we just, like I said, we're gonna roll with the punches regardless of how whiny we sound at times, including me.
Now, before I get into my team, I saw that the Yankees pretty much were like the Red Sox. They stood pat. They're keeping the same old guys. Is that a winning strategy in any shape or form? Like, it just seems to me that since they didn't do anything, they're last place in the division. Like, why isn't Brian Cashman making moves?
I mean, maybe Steinbrenner's son said that they're not buyers at this time, which is wild. Once again, and even more so than us. You know how it is up there. Like they are always in the hunt for someone. I think people they were looking at getting, I think we're already off the board probably. Especially with pitching. You would have thought they would have got somebody from St. Louis. Because, I mean, both of those guys were gone. Flaherty, I think, and Montgomery were gone. So
love the Flaherty trade though for the Orioles. That was a good pickup.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's an example of a team who knows that they're getting back to. Because once again, for those that are listening to this and are of the younger age, like I said, me and Aaron, Aaron's about to be 30, but I'm already over 30.
Don't say that. I'm gonna be 27.
It's true. We're just speaking facts. The Orioles teams in the late '90s, were really, really good. Cal Ripken, Eddie Murray, Mike Messina. I know people just remember him on the Yankees, but Mike Messina was an Oriole first.
Melvin Mora.
Yeah.
Miguel Tejada.
Melvin Mora. B.J. Surhoff, Brady Anderson, Albert Bell. I mean, he was a guy that kind of flip-flop all over teams. He played in Chicago. He played in Cleveland. Like he was all on decent teams in the '90s. So they're now, I think, they're starting to get back to that. They had
you could even say the Buck Showalter Orioles. They were giving problems too. JJ Hardy's of that world, Manny Machado coming up.
Yeah.
I think now he's not good, but Chris Davis. And they got that big contract. Everybody makes fun of Bob Bonilla, but Chris Davis is making way more, and he got cut like 3 years ago from the Orioles.
Mm-hmm. I think he's on the Bobby Bonilla type deal too now. So shout out to him.
Sure is. I didn't realize Ken Griffey Jr. was a little off topic from the Reds. They're still paying him.
Really?
Yep.
I honestly, when they traded for him, it was like, okay, hey, they weren't better than that Seattle team. And once again, that Seattle team was 100 games the following year. Like they could have been really special. I don't think they would have beat that Yankees team still. I feel like every time they ran to New York, except for that AODS in '95, like they just always folded against the Yankees. Obviously Yankees beat them to face Shaw in the World Series that same year that he got traded. So, so that was that. But yeah, but I mean, hey, shout out to the agent. Shout out to the agent. But no, but to answer to further answer your question, I think that I guess we're in two cities where it's like it's win or bust, especially with Yankees Red Sox. So I feel like it's either you feel like you can go for it and try to get whoever's on the market. But maybe they felt with getting back Judge and getting, I guess I don't know who else is on the DL for them. Maybe they thought that was enough. I don't think it's enough. I mean, once again, this team, I don't. Did they win 100 games last year? No, it was just y'all. No, y'all won 100 games. But I'm like, but they've been close. They've been close the last 6-7 years. But once again, that doesn't matter up there. Is you have to at least be in the championship series, or have a chance to to go into the World Series. So I get it, but yeah, I don't know if that's the right way to go about it. I'm sure you know. The Andrew Marchand show up there and Michael K. I'm sure they're going to be pissed off. Tomorrow morning. I'm pretty sure. Our good friend of the pod, Chelsea Sherrod, I'm sure that she'll be talking on SNY, whether it be tonight because we're recording this on a Tuesday night. I'm sure that they'll be upset as well. But it is what it is. But no, it's not the right way to go about it. I just think to me, when you're in this market, and same thing with we're going to talk about your team in a minute. You can always recover because you're either someone's going to sign with you, or someone's going to pop that you didn't think was going to pop. So you can always recover in a big market. That's just my take on it.
Well, it's a good thing you talked about the 100 wins, and you texted me this when it happened, that you were surprised that the Mets are pretty much blowing up the team after they won 100 games last year.
Right.
So before I get started, what happened with the Mets the last 3 days, what are your thoughts about us pretty much paying the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers, two 40-year-old pitchers, to get off the team?
So, I mean, I guess financially, I mean, it's a reset, obviously. I know you call him Stevie Stacks, because Stevie Stacks wanted to save some money, apparently. I thought it was premature, and I get it. When you win 101 games last year, and obviously, you don't get to where you want to go, or at least make the NLCS. It's a bit. It's a bit frustrating, and I totally understand that. I just think that I know y'all had some injuries once again from the jump. Diaz goes down in the World Baseball Classic. That might have been the omen that kind of started the year, unfortunately. But I just think some patience should have been showed. I feel like if the same issue was going on next year with this same roster, then you say what we tried to get through last year. We got through some injuries. We still got Lindor, still got obviously still have Scherzer, still have Verlander. We get Diaz back next year. Like I think that would have been a way to kind of see what they had again, to see if they could make another run. With that core. But unfortunately, they chose to be premature, in my opinion, and say, hey, let's just go ahead and make these moves now. And be sellers at the deadline.
Well, before he got traded, I said to you that actually I even put on That's My Sports on Twitter that Max Scherzer said he wanted to be on a contender when they were losing games, when he was losing games. And listen, this guy hasn't done anything since August of last year. So I don't want to hear any Met fans going, oh, well, they shouldn't have traded him. Yeah, they should have. From the substance on his fingers to not beating the Braves when it mattered the most to win the division, getting blown up by San Diego at home in the wild card playoff thing, whatever the frick that was. I actually think that I'm probably gonna botch it, but Luis Angel Acuna, which is Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother, he even said that this is a really good prospect. I feel like he's going to be on the major league roster next year playing second base. So I don't have any problems with that, especially since Max Scherzer is going to be 40. Like I said, he hasn't done anything. Verlander, I actually wanted him to go to the Dodgers because they had a really good pitching prospect that I feel like we really needed, but I don't think LA wanted to eat that money or have JV. So even with him, though, two good outfielders. We got their number one prospect. He could probably come up in about 2 years. So I actually think that's a really good trade. Everyone that we've gotten
Mm-hmm.
is top prospects or top 10. Like we literally just traded Dominic Leon, who is not good at all, and we got the Angels like eighth best prospect.
Yeah.
So
No,
I mean,
I
I
get it. Yeah, from a farm perspective, yeah, it makes sense, right? It makes sense to get that and stock the farm just in case where they're going to come up or they're used as trade pieces. But once again, y'all on the other side of the train, right? Y'all other part of the subway. Y'all Rockaway, far Rockaway. Y'all shout out to Queens. Y'all the same way as us and the Yankees. There is no, well, let's just see about next year. No, it's been a while. Once again, because y'all beat us to win, right? And obviously 2015 feels like a while ago. I actually, matter of fact, I just watched side note, I just watched there's a page on YouTube. Ironically, I think it's based off the Atlanta Braves, but they have every team's like best playoff moments from like 1990 to now. Um, Man, y'all were close a few times. I watched 99. I watched obviously what happened in 2015. I was like, man, like, I mean, you know how I feel about Piazza. You know, Piazza is one of my favorite non-Red Sox players. I saw that Tarzio home run. I was like, wow, I forgot about that one that he hit. And it was like, what happened to Benny Agbayani as well? So I say that to say Shea Stadium was rocking. I mean, I know it's not Shea Stadium now. It's what is it, City Field, whatever it's called now. Well, I don't know if they changed the name or not, but in other words, it was rocking. You want to get back to that moment. So I would assume they want players that can help now, not in 3 years from now. But I get it. You have to have a mix of both. I just talked about it, but
it's not even that though. It's just that we were losing series that we shouldn't have lost. Like I believe it was we had the worst July, winning seven. Or not July. We're in July. In June, we won 7 games, and we should have beaten the Tigers. We should have beaten the Nationals.
Yep.
We were losing 2 out of 3 series, so they weren't playing well. The Mets players were not playing well, and yet they were all confused when David Robertson was the first domino to go down. And the 2 prospects that we got from are not too bad, but they're not going to help us for next year, which is fine. But we can sign David Robertson next year. He's literally on a 1-year deal, so I don't know why people are freaking out. We are getting everything in place. There's a Japanese pitcher, Yamamoto, who's 24, nasty. Like, this dude's nasty. And I think he can get acclimated with the Mets. We've seen Epler get Ohtani from Japan and Senga. Pretty sure Yamamoto will want to come to Queens. Right. Maybe Billy Epler's doing something to get Ohtani, where it's kind of like a sign trade with all these prospects. We're grabbing a lot of shortstops too in these trades, so maybe something like that. But right now, I feel like with us, we could get like a Julio Urias next year, who's a free agent. He's 26. There's not much out there, and I really don't want Tyler McGill or David Peterson in the starting 5 right now. But it is what it is.
I mean, hey, well, speaking of Ohtani, man, are you surprised they didn't move him? Because I am.
No, because I believe they're in a playoff hunt right now. And I think once Mike Trout comes back, then I think they're going to be pushing hardcore because, I mean, they definitely got fleeced for the Lucas Giolito deal from the Chicago White Sox. Yep. I think White Sox fleeced them. It's funny. They got back their old first-round pick, Randall Grinchuk, who finally homered for them after being their first overall pick all these years ago. I know did they trade for Mike Moustakas? I know he went. I think he's there, and then they're kind of rebuilding. So, like, I'm sorry, not rebuilding, retooling to get into the playoffs. So I feel like that's why they didn't trade Ohtani. But then again, what can you give for him right now?
I mean, listen, we've watched enough sports to know there's always a sucker. I just think, to me, you can't be the GM that let him walk. Like, that cannot happen.
It might happen.
It's no facts, but I'm just like, you can't be the guy. Once again, we just watched it up here. I mean, once again, Mookie Betts is not Shohei Ohtani, so I'm once again, but hell of a talent. Don't get me wrong. But we just seen it up here in Boston. Like, I'm telling you, and granted, I can only imagine the pitchforks would be from here all the way up to Mass Ave. If Shohei Ohtani was on the Red Sox and they let him go for some Rule 5 player, it would have been, that 98.5 who was like, that they would have had a fucking field day, and I'd have been outside of 98.5 with the same pitchfork saying, I can't believe that y'all let him go. That being said,
do you think that Chaim Bloom will trade for him? Because I know you were talking about it, or unless that was someone else, I'm missing the point. Your other show on Twitter.
Well, no, I know that was me. I wrote about it on Twitter because I was like, I was trolling our fans, and I was like, I took a page out of your book. I was like, do we really think that we're gonna get Shohei? Like, what's wrong with it all? Like, do you think that? I said we've seen him let go of Mookie. We've seen him let go of Xander. Truth be told, he got pressured into signing Devers. Something on the inside of me tells me if he could have let Devers walk or gave him 3 years and $25 million a year, he absolutely would have. And I'm like, matter of fact, I just wrote on that Twitter page. I was like, he would have traded Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for Ish Smith and Cody Zeller. It would have been like, I like what we're doing here. Are you fucking kidding me? Like that's just what it is. But I think they should go all in to go get him. Once again, I see no path that they sign him. I think this would be Dice K on steroids. Excuse me, if that happens. But yeah, I would love for them to at least put a bid in. Once again, I don't expect them to sign him. But yeah, you should be in the conversation. You absolutely should be. But to the thing about the Angels, once again, you and I were in elementary and middle school the last time the Angels won a World Series. 2002.
John Lackey was just coming into it.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't help my team win a World Series by then. He didn't help the Cubs win a World Series, but you know what I'm saying? All that's happened. The Cubs won a World Series. The Chicago White Sox won a World Series. The Cubs won a World Series. My Red Sox won a World Series. Y'all have been back to the World Series. The Yankees won another one. Like, there's so much. The Marlins don't want a World Series. Like, there's so many things that have happened since then that I'm just like, I don't know. And I mean, we want to talk about talent. What team has had more talent come through there and they've underperformed every year? Even we would and Dean, they signed Josh Hamilton.
Our Pujols.
5 years, 125. Nothing. They get my guy, our guy Torrey Hunter. Which if you haven't watched the episode on the pivot,
I did. It's a good one.
It's phenomenal.
Good one.
Yeah.
Albert Pujols, 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years too. Yeah, so it's just like they've had. I mean, once again, I get it. Especially with I get it. But they've had so many people come through there. Anthony Rendon from a few years ago, right? Goes crazy in Washington, and they gave him 325 or something like that at the time, like that around that number, if I'm not mistaken. So they've had crazy amount of talent come through there. And once again, think about when they won. They had most of their homegrown guys.
Salmon,
Garrett Anderson, Tim Salmon. No, was Jim Evans was already gone? Did he leave? Yeah, he was already out.
No, he was gone. I think he was gone
by then. So, Troy Gloss, Troy Percival, David Eckstein, no, Willie Ibar. He might have been later on, but it's like come on, Frankie Rodriguez. That's another one, young Frankie Rodriguez. So, excuse me. Like they had the homegrown talent there, so you would think maybe let's keep this talent and keep this around. Nope, couldn't do that. You keep signing free agents because people want to play in Cali. Great, y'all in Anaheim. Y'all not. It's not the Cali. It's not. I know it's Cali, but it's like you're not. It's not LA. Meaning the Dodgers. It's not. You're not the same. You're not the Giants. You're not even the Oakland A's. And honestly, as someone who was like a sneaky, like on the low athletics fan, I don't know. I've always been drawn to that team. I think it's sad that they're not coming back after next year to the Coliseum. I think that's trash, and I think that they need to figure it out there. But that's
one of the cheapest owners. It's like they're worse than the Wilpons.
Facts.
Worse than the Wilpons.
Facts. Yeah, well, anybody worse than John Henry. But you do as a joke, but don't get me started. But yeah, so I don't know. I just to me, um, you should have seen what you've been able to do. Because once again, they do wink wink deals all the time. All you got to do is trade him to whoever. Like I promise you, if they had found a way to trade him to New York, I bet you there'd have been a wink wink deal in place. I bet you that it'd have been a 10-year, $500 million deal coming his way, booking it. I would have booked it. I actually think that's where he's going to go. So spoiler alert. I think he'll be a Yankee next year. I do. So,
Really?
so you put this could be the clip.
I,
I think the show your time would be a New York Yankee come winter, come
I mean,
December.
Hal Steinbrenner is kind of cheap in his own way as an owner. He's not like the Will
This
Ponds
is
or
why
John Henry, but
we have never
I,
seen this talent ever in the league. Once again, in our generation. Once again,
this is true.
many years ago, like my grandma and them got to see Babe Ruth, literally, because my grandma was born in the 20s. So, or not see him, but at least hear him on the radio. um, so it's just like, okay, hey, this guy literally changes the game every time he's on. And once again, I think he's wasting away in Anaheim. I'm sorry, he is. He needs to be in a bigger market. So whether that's New York, whether that's Boston, or even if you stay down there with the Dodgers, because that'd be big. I can see the Giants swooping in and trying to get someone like him, get him as well. Because hell, if they offer 360 to Correa, they got to give at least 500 to Shohei. If you was going to give 360 to Correa, who sucks right now,
Exactly. Good move by Stevie Sachs's doctors to reject
yeah,
this free
yeah,
agency.
yeah. That got ugly, pretty quickly. But yeah, I just think to me, he's going to be the first $500 million deal. And once again, it's PTSD, but I've always known the Yankees to get the guy they want, and if they want that guy, they're gonna fucking get him.
Interesting. Well, we'll just close it out real quick with the last note before we transition out of here. Do you see any teams, sneaky teams, making into the playoffs, or wild cards? Do you see Boston being in the wild card? Obviously, the Mets are out because we're just throwing out whoever. But do you see anybody that's going to be sneaky?
Well, I mean, I honestly, and once again, this is another take, and this could, and I want to preface this by saying this is a completely emotional take. There's no logic in what I'm about to say, so I want to, I want to put that out there. I would not be surprised if the Red Sox lost about 15 out the next 20 games. And missed because this is what happened last year, right? They caught fire in July again. Well, no, actually, it was earlier last year. They caught fire in May, June. They were on fire, and then they kind of, were middle of the pack in July. You know, they trade for Hosmer. But Hosmer basically was a no-show. Didn't do much here. But JD Martinez and other guys have basically quit on the team. They were just like, "You're not going to go get somebody for us. Fuck y'all. Like we're good." I know they're getting Sale back. I know they're getting help and Whitlock. That should matter. It should. I just don't know if they'll play for Alice Cora now after seeing what happened. Once again, getting your getting that trade today, and then I mean, I guess they did get a couple pitchers back in that deal for Kike, so we'll see. But I think Toronto and maybe even LA, meaning the Angels, I think those are the teams that end up being the second and third wild card, and then we'll see. I don't think my bold prediction is that the Red Sox and Yankees both miss the playoffs.
Interesting. I actually have the Diamondbacks making it over the Marlins. I feel like the Marlins are just gonna kind of flop, literally because they're fish. But I feel like Arizona, because they got Paul Sewald from the Mariners, and he had a really good 2 years with the Seattle, and they just have a really good team. They're young. Zach Gallen, I think, is one of the runner-ups for the Cy Young. He's doing very well over there. Kettle Marte is a very good. I think he's a third baseman or outfielder. He's one of those. But I feel like Arizona's going to be a sneaky team. I actually think that the Rangers, because they pretty much upgraded hardcore on the pitching, I feel like this team's going to make it to the World Series.
The Rangers, okay.
I
Yeah,
think just
your
because
first
of Bruce
time, your first
Bochy
time
and the
from
pitching that they
Atlanta, right?
acquired, Jordan Montgomery, I feel like
Yeah.
that's going to happen. And not this isn't really a bold prediction, but the four, I think no, the top three biggest payroll teams will not make the playoffs. Where the Mets aren't, Padres aren't going to make it, and the Yankees, and that's
Mm.
sad. And the bottom, I think we're close to the bottom four are going to make it, in the Orioles, Tampa, teams like that.
Right, but that's why you see these bigger market teams trying to emulate what the small market teams are doing, and it's like, look,
Yeah, but
every,
Baltimore sucked
every,
for like 7 years. It's not like they were doing it
right,
last year and then
but
coming
that,
in.
those,
They
those
were
fans are
really
okay
bad for
with
7 years.
right, but those fans are okay with that, and I'm sorry, like, I'm
I can't.
sorry.
I'm tired of that. Yeah,
No, fact, but I'm not looking to be bad until 2030, and then to hear, well, no, Joe Buck is not on Fox anymore, but I don't know, Matt Vasgersian, whoever the hell's on the broadcast saying, "Oh, and your 2030 champions of the Boston Red Sox." No, like, I mean, that'd be great if that was like their third and 4 years, or that would be awesome. It's just like, I don't want to wait another 7, 8 years to be told that the Red Sox are the world champions, and I get it. I know there's an era that went through 86 years. I get that. I know because my grandmother told me many stories. But I'm sorry, this is not 1949. This is not 1967. This is not 1975. This is not 1978. This is not 1986. This is not 1998, 99, or it's the other three. We've seen multiple rings in the city, thankfully, in this era. We grew up in the greatest era of Boston sports, maybe outside of the '60s. When Celtics were winning like crazy then. Um, my thing is, you're not Tampa. You're not, you're not Seattle. Like, you're not teams that have to have all the homegrown talent just to find a way to win. You can find a way to mix it up and have both. So, my plea, my beg, my ask, my demand, whatever word you want to use, is to figure that shit out and do better. Because once again, Aaron, as a Mets fan, his fellow Mets fans deserve a better product. Yankee fans, even though I can't stand them, they deserve a better product. And my Red Sox, we support y'all, so we deserve a better product on the field than what we've gotten this past season so far.
yeah. I just want to close out with my final words for the Mets fans who are freaking out that we traded a 40-year-old pitcher for prospects. I mean, come on, like, we're getting good prospects. We're rebuilding this farm up. I really want Ronnie Mauricio to be in the lineup. Let the kids play. I would have loved if Daniel Vogelbach got traded for a bag of chips. That guy is just terrible. I wish that Billy Epler did this last year, or even improved better last year, so we wouldn't really have to be in this situation. But I mean, it is what it is. He's the one that got the Vogelbach, Michael Givens, and Tyler Nakian, which made no sense. So I feel like if he did something then, it would be a little bit different this year. But at least now we have the people. The kids are playing. I wish Mark Vientos would play a little bit more. Brett Beatty's doing pretty good. I kept seeing the thing with if straight up trade for Nolan Arenado for Brett Beatty. I wouldn't, just because of the contract that Nolan Arenado has. And Nolan Arenado's 32. But I think for Met fans, just be patient. Next year, I think we're going to implode a little bit better. Sterling Marte will be healthier. We'll get better pitching. And, that's about it. But so on this quick episode of That's My Sports, I'm the host with the most, Aaron Cass. I'm with Hollywood Ray. And as always, Black People Matter.
Peace.